I become King George. And I got all the rights then. And when I stand on the mountain and I say, do it, it gets done. If it don't get done, then I'll move on it. And that's the last thing in the world you want me to do.
They're extra-dimensional beings that they are not what they claim to be.
Your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. Living, you're looking at death. It only looks. Living is much more difficult.
You know, most of them don't assume you're actually going to kill them. Most of them assume it's a rape or something like that.
It was like anybody was fair game.
It did not matter. Blood is blood. It didn't matter man, woman, child.
At first, they thought it was a pack of savage dogs. But when they looked closer, they knew it was humans.
We lift the curse. Say it! We lift the curse.
We lift the gates.
Of fire and death.
We lift it.
Oh, this is not nice. Judgment! Judgment! Say it!
No, we lift the curse.
On her?
On her!
Future generations.
Future generation!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Evil Examined podcast. You thought we were dead, but we're back. That was just a cruel April Fool's joke.
Hey, guys.
Or was it? I'm back here with JP exclusively today to squash the beef.
Yeah.
Man,
We gotta get a lot of shit out of our chest.
I wish a guy would take a dump on my chest.
You know, you've been driving me crazy for some time now, you know?
Nigga, you gay.
And I just
have
thought
that
I had
effect.
to I just thought I had to address it, you know, in a national forum, you know?
Yeah, air out the dirty laundry for everyone to hear. That's what we do around here.
That's all we do. But yeah, I think it's funny. There was like a reaction via social media with many different people contacting people, I feel like, and like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Because no one listened to the episode. They just looked at the post and they were like, to the episode, and they were like, most people were like, you fucking asshole. Like, I'm going to punch you in the head when I see you.
Isn't that how it normally works, though? People just see an article title and they run with it. They don't even read it. Like,
yeah, these fucking headline sheep reading all these headlines and shit out there.
Lloyd, you okay?
That's what you get, you know?
Mm-hmm. We've taught you a lesson, volleyball.
Lesson learned. But
don't doubt the kids.
But yeah, so today me and JP are going to, talk about some weirdness. I got a cool thing. This is going to be extra evil episodes the next 2 weeks before we come back for our final 3-episode finale of season 3. Because I think we just need 3 more, I believe. Because we're on like episode 29 or something. And normally, I think it's like, oh no. I don't know. The fucking season episode shit isn't working. We should just number the shows moving forward. It's getting overwhelming.
It was pretty cool.
Well, I like how we brand the different seasons, you know, that's fun.
But yeah. I can find out on the website here. I think we average 13 for season 2, was it? Yeah, 13 episodes for season 2, but
it's 13 of the 3 episode thing. That's why it's so confusing.
Yeah, and we
terrible
switched over.
System.
That's why it felt so long for this this season, because we had a lot of breaks.
Yeah, I mean, there was all kinds of shit going on.
And a lot of extra shit for you guys, too. A lot of extra episodes.
Yeah, you guys benefit from the breaks because we just end up doing like these weird one-offs, which are usually pretty cool. But yeah, so I think another announcement. What, Gene? We're gonna start working on some YouTube videos.
Yes, that's gonna be the next thing where we have in the pipeline. It's well overdue. We have to get on our shit so you guys can see our lovely mugs.
Just listen. Hey, you're hot. That's really, really hot. Hey, you're hot.
Yeah, we also have a cool like the podcast room's pretty fun. You know, we have a lot of like weird stuff. Like if you're watching the YouTube video now, we put some of our relics out for you for your entertainment and viewing pleasure. But yeah, so all you guys that are listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, none of that's changing. But we are going to add. I mean, we've always had the Evil Examine YouTube channel, but we're hoping to get a little more traction. And if you want to see what some of the weird guests look like John the Skeptic or Silent Sarita, whoever you're like, wow, what does that person look like? You'll be able to see it moving forward. But yeah, so remember to go to www.evilexamine.com to check out the entire backlog of all of our material. And my store is up at the top, Aaron Beauregard Horror, if you want to check out the books. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the cover of Wedding Day Massacre sitting on the table before you. And what is it? Also, the Written in Red podcast, if you like horror writing and reading horror. That's a new podcast I'm collaborating with some other authors on. There's some information on it on the homepage, and you can also watch the YouTube videos of us via the Evil Examined website or on Spotify and iTunes now.
Yeah, there's a wealth of information on that, so you can definitely get learned a little bit.
So, yeah, but we're going to get into some weirdness today. This week, I have a few different stories that I think will tickle your, make your loins burn, tickle your taint. However you want to say it. But this episode is going to be all about creepy encounters. Have you ever had any creepy encounters, Gene, with anyone?
Like just stalkers?
Just like, it could be anything, just any kind of, like a disturbing encounter with a stranger, I would say.
There was this one time, I used to take the bus a lot when I was a teenager. And I would go over to the Warwick Mall a lot. And I'd run into a lot of weird characters on the bus station. And there was this one old lady that was like, just walked up to me. And like she stood like right next to me, and then she starts laughing uncontrollably and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? But then I start laughing because her laugh was so infectious. So we're just two weirdos laughing out there.
And you didn't know why?
I didn't know why. I never found out why. I was scared to ask her.
You did have that time. I remember one weird one you told me too, with that guy that was carrying around the bag of spaghetti or something. Wasn't there?
Oh, I actually have a video I found of him, me and him hanging out. I guess because he just followed me and my friends around and shit, and like was just harassing everyone.
But like you were too, like he was so like disturbed. You were like kind of like. Just like, yo, I don't want to set him off, right?
I don't want to set him off, yeah. So I befriended him, so he wouldn't harm me. And he had a I think it was a Stop and Shop bag full of spaghetti. Just not it was the spaghetti was like just filled. It wasn't in a can or anything. He just cooked spaghetti and put it in a bag.
Was there any sauce in there?
There was sauce. Yeah, he had sauced up and everything.
And like you're talking like a Walmart bag or a Stop and Shop bag?
Yeah,
just a plastic bag.
A plastic bag. And he was just walking around, hey, I got some Bond spaghetti. Like he talked like that. And we were hanging out outside this place called the Boombox. It is a popular, I don't know about now, but it used to be a popular karaoke spot.
Yeah. Post-COVID, there's no certainties.
Yeah. But yeah, we tried to get rid of him. So we went inside. he was kicked out of the spot because he kept like interrupting people singing and shit. He would grab the microphone and like try to sing the song and shit. And yeah, we left him in there. They kicked him out, and then he found us in the street, and then he was harassing some lady. He's like, "You want to suck my dick?" So I have it on. Maybe I'll pull up that video and post it on the website for you guys to see. Just a clip.
It'd be cool if like you could put it into the YouTube video and just like pause the show and then go to that for a second.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We have
it could be genius.
This new technology now.
You said I'll get my dick sucked. I said, want my dick sucked, you bitch. This is motherfucker say.
But yeah, we got rid of him eventually. We actually sprinted and ran away from him. Like he couldn't catch up to us because he was, a big guy. But yeah, good times.
Thank God. Right? So that's weird. So that's kind of what this is about. Just I've collected a variety of creepy encounters that people have shared on the internet, and I thought it would be fun to go through some of them. This first creepy encounter is called the Smiling Man, and it involves a walk home after, kind of just going for a walk late at night when nobody's around, which is an eerie feeling in itself, right? Like while I was reading this story, I was just kind of like picturing, when the city is asleep and there's no one out, and like you're just walking by yourself, and it can get kind of creepy, Like usually you're not by yourself. Usually you're with other people, I feel like.
Yeah.
But we've all been in a situation or two where you end up having to go by yourself, and then there's some weirdness. But let's see what Blue Tidal, who is the person who posted this strange story, has to say about their walk home. And it should be noted that this post was in it's not specified what city, but it's like a major city in the United States. And this person was like a bit of a night owl, and they would have to walk home in the small hours, to kind of pass the time, I guess. Like, she was walking home, but like she had gone out willingly just to go for a walk, I guess. So, and this is the direct quote from the story that was told. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police-patrolled park quite a ways away from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one afoot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. Okay, so it sounds like she went to like a park near where she lived first, but
can't hate on that.
No, I mean,
you want to clear your mind, enjoy the scenery, I guess.
Especially these days. I feel like this is a bit of an older story, but these days, man, nature's key.
Mm-hmm.
I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment when I first noticed him. At the end of the street, on my side, was a silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to the waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking and headed straight for me. And that sounds like trouble right off the rip, right? Whenever you see someone dancing in the street.
Yeah, there's probably something unhinged.
So, deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the sidewalk and pass me. The closer he got, the more I realized how gracefully he was moving. He was very tall and lanky and wearing an old suit. He danced closer still until I could make out his face. His eyes were open wide and wild, head tilted back and slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed into a painfully wide cartoon smile. Between his eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer to me. Probably a good move.
Yeah.
Right? Get that separation. See, hopefully they leave you alone, you know. I took my eyes off of him to cross to the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back and then stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing on one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He faced me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I had put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the sidewalk in front of me. The street and the sidewalk ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where the sidewalk ahead of me was, still unnerved, I looked back to where he had been standing to find him gone. For the briefest moments, I felt relieved until I noticed he had crossed the street and he was now slightly crouched down. So, like, now he's on the same side of the street as her. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadows, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he had moved fast. So I'm guessing he just did like a mad dash across the street. What would you do?
That's even creepier.
Yeah. What would you do at this point?
I would increase the distance between us. I'd probably start running. I'm not ashamed.
Just take off, right?
Yeah, it's very his behavior is very alien-like, especially him staring into the sky and shit.
Yeah, like he's
looking
waiting for
looking
something,
back home and shit.
I was so shocked that I stood there for some time staring at him, and then he started moving toward me again. He took giant, exaggerated, tiptoed steps as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone. Except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say that at this point, I ran away or pulled out my pepper spray or my cell phone or anything like that at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen, as the smiling man crept toward me. And then he stopped again, about a car length away from me, still smiling, his smile, and still looking at the sky. That's so creepy, right? The upward look.
Yeah.
When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What the fuck do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. What the fuck? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell fear, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. But he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, he turned around very slowly and started dance walking away. Just like that. Not wanting to turn my back on him again, I just watched him go until he was far enough away to almost be out of sight. And then I realized something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. See, so you would have been in good shape because you would have started your run early, you know?
Yeah. What the fuck? So he's a shapeshifter? What I'm getting?
Well,
or
no,
she not?
She's saying she hasn't said anything like that. Like he just was moving in one direction and starting to disappear, and then he started growing back, and it's like dark. So you could tell
he's closing in distance wise. That's why
she went away, and then he got larger because he was closing in at rapid speed.
Yo, this guy is coked out.
So he goes, "I ran too." She goes, "I ran too. I ran until I was off the side of the road and back to a better lit road with sparse traffic. Looking behind me then, he was nowhere to be found. The rest of the way home, I kept glancing over my shoulder, always expecting to see his stupid smile, but he was never there. I lived in that city for 6 months after that night, and I never went out for another walk. There was something about his face that always haunted me. He didn't look drunk. He didn't look high. He looked completely and utterly insane. And that's a very, very scary thing to see.
Yeah. What would you have done?
Probably the same thing as you, like...
Just run?
Yeah. Because if it was like... She's explaining it almost like there was something... You know, you can tell, like, you've seen a person that is insane, right? Like, in a complete state of insanity. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think in person.
Really? Not even in like the city, like just somebody fucking off their shit?
Like that kind of insane?
Well, I mean, this is almost borders on supernatural, it almost feels like. But I mean, let's say it was just an insane person, you know, and the darkness kind of crept into her story and like it made it feel more supernatural to her in some ways.
See, I always wondered about that look of insanity. I don't think I've seen it. I've seen people that sounded insane with the shit they say. Like, oh, you're stupid. Like that's fucking dumb and insane. Why are you saying that? But as far as that look of insanity, like I'm fearing for my life, I've never seen that in person. Have you?
I have, yeah.
You have?
One time I went back to, I don't know, help a friend of a friend, let's say, and like the kid was utterly like he was just really weird, you know, very aloof and like spaced out. And I was helping him move something. I told this friend, yeah, I'll go help him move something real quick. He needs help. And he was already like making bizarre comments in the car. I can't really remember. Like he didn't have a car. He had, he was going through a tough period in his life. So I was like, all right, let me try and help him. You know, my friend says he's a good guy. But then I started to realize, like, I don't think he is a good guy. And like, it was on a holiday too. And like, he was like, he started making like racist remarks in the car. Like, not in a joking fashion, you know what I mean? Like, well, it was kind of joking, but you could tell it was, you can tell when it's not really a joke. And I was like, yo, don't fucking say that shit around me, man. Like,
that's something he
all
believes.
of my fucking friends are like Cape Verdeans, Colombians, Puerto Ricans. Like, don't fucking say that shit in my car. Like,
yeah,
I'll fucking throw you on the street right now, basically. And so he stopped with that. And he was like doing this creepy laugh. Like, and I don't know this guy. You know what I mean?
Butthead laugh.
Like, I don't really know this dude at all. I think I've encountered him one other point, and it was not a long thing. It was just like a passing. And so we got into his apartment, and when you opened the door, I mean, it was just in shambles. Like, stuff on the floor, all fucked up. Like it looked like a madman lived there.
So it was like a reflection of his mind's state.
Yeah, almost precisely.
Shattered.
And then right when the door closed, he locked it. And I was like, we're moving something out of here. Like, the fuck you locking the door for? Unlock the door. I told him like right away.
We're moving
like
your body.
a fucking feeling hit me inside immediately. And I was like, yo, unlock the fucking door now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got on it immediately.
Well, you
know what I mean?
You were terrified, or you were like,
no, I thought he was
angered.
I thought he was gonna do something. So it came off angry, but I was actually like very nervous. And if he didn't unlock the door, I was gonna unlock it. And if he fucking tried to stop me, then it would go down right there. I wasn't letting him get the jump on me because I got the feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get that feeling of dread, and you don't know why. You know what I mean? It just comes to you. It's instincts. And I don't have much more to say about, like, what type of person he was, or there's no reveal here. You know what I mean? I just got, my body and my soul just told me, don't fucking let him lock that door. You know what I mean? And that was it.
So he let you just walk out? He didn't
Yeah, I
try to
walked
stop
back
you?
out after that. I was like, I'm done. Like, you're too fucking weird. You know, like he was just being a weirdo, dude. And like, I think I helped him finish doing whatever he was doing. You know what I mean? But it didn't make sense to lock the door. You know what I mean? And just the way he was acting, I wish I could describe it better, but just like the fucking weird laugh, just like, you know what I mean? And like, the general imbalance, like that was saturating the whole atmosphere, you know? It just felt like something was ready to go wrong.
See, now that you describe that story, all right, now it kind of sparked something. I didn't notice at the time that these two people were fucking possibly insane or, you know, had bad intentions. I was oblivious in that moment. But I could have been in a situation where me and my buddy could have got murked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because shortly after I looked back and I was like, oh shit. Because I don't have a lot of street smarts. Because I was very sheltered. But to start it off, me and my buddy were hanging out at some woods in Central Falls.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got this cool little hideout tent thing over there. You know, it's an awesome chill spot. We can smoke up and all that. And I'm inviting some chicks over, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, where is there woods in Central Falls, first off? He was like, oh, it's a spot next to the track, the running track or whatever. And he's infamous for having bad ideas. And at that time, I was so bored, I always like just went along with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up going over there, and the chicks came over, and we were just smoking, you know, weed. And then these two guys were accompanied. Like they shortly came after. I guess the chicks knew them. And you know, it was normal. We were just like jamming out, playing guitar, and like just chilling, smoking up.
Like acoustic guitar?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like just having a good time. And then the guys were like, out of nowhere, they started getting like aggressive and shit. And they're like, they were like blaming us for like stealing their weed.
Mm.
And then they're like, oh, empty out your pockets. Like run your shit, kind of shit.
Yeah.
It didn't dawn to me that they were trying to see what we had. And they were using the excuse of our weed went missing is you guys.
Yeah.
It didn't dawn to me, so I was like, I don't have your shit. Like I was like getting angry and shit because I'm like, I'm not a fucking thief.
Yeah.
And they were like whispering to each other. Like I heard them say like, yo, go in the trunk and get your shit. And then I heard that and I was like, get what shit?
Yeah.
And then they're like, none of you guys are leaving here. Like saying, until we get our shit, none of you guys are leaving here. And I was like, well, you're gonna stop us? He's like, I'll stay here. You get this stuff. Like, get the stuff in the trunk. And I was like, I ain't fucking staying here. You're gonna stop me? Like, I didn't steal your shit. I emptied out my pocket. And I guess because I didn't have anything of value. I didn't have anything of value. They're like, they didn't do anything, I guess. But I guess they had that crazy look that you were talking about. But yeah, they were legitimately trying to like,
yeah, just
rob us and
children
shit.
of the gutter, you know.
And I don't know if the chicks were in on it or whatever, because the buddy that I hung out with, he would befriend a lot of people and say that, oh yeah, I know them, and he really didn't know them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it could have been a big thing, but I was ready. I had like a pocket knife and shit ready. Like it could have been a real bad situation.
Yeah.
But like,
it sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were stick-up kids, you know, like just fucking. And like you said, the girl could have been in on it. Like I've heard of situations, like I've had friends that have been in situations, like one that met a chick online, you know, hung out with her, whatever, like fucked around with her and shit. And then boom, out of nowhere, you know, like the chick tells him like, oh yeah, you should do this deal, you know, like they were selling drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
And he, you know, off this girl's merit, he goes to sell something and boom, like 4 kids in masks, you know, stick up kids, split his fucking head open, pistol whipped the shit out of him, you know, like real bad, dude. And it's like, that's what you like. That's why we're lucky, because most of our friends you've known them for like 10 years. So
Yeah.
it's like, and that's why I'm not anxious to make new friends, you know?
Yeah, I like the circle we have.
People want to fuck you over sometimes.
You don't know their intentions. You don't have their Carfax. You know, so
that does sound like a real bad situation, though. So you were able to just leave and they didn't do anything. What about your
no?
friend?
I think because we, you know me. I'm very quiet to myself, but there's times where, you know, if I get nervous, I turn to someone else to get through that situation. I've always been like that. And I guess they second thought it because it would have been a fight. Even though I don't know what they had.
Yeah.
I only had a pocket knife. They could have had a gun or whatever. But I guess the image that I was portraying at the time wasn't worth the trouble in their mind. Because I was like, when I get angry, I like start foaming out the mouth and shit. I was like, I turn crazy. I get that crazy look.
That's the only way to fucking deal with it, is to make it think that, you know, it's not, it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't matter, you know, but luckily it sounded like because your poverty paid off there, so to speak.
From experience. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you having nothing is what probably saved your ass in the situation. So everybody out there, stay broke, stay solo.
You know, keep your pockets empty.
All right, so moving on from that, those are some creepy encounters. Maybe more will trigger as we go. This next one kind of reminds me of season 1, coming out the closet slightly. And for anyone who hasn't listened to that, you can go back to season 1, and it's one of the earlier episodes. It'll be in the description, but this one I call Human Haunting. And so there was this guy called Ashtonez, and he did this internet post that kind of went viral. I think it was a couple years ago. And it's honestly, it seems like an awesome plot for like a horror movie or something. But so if you live in an apartment, it'd be logical to feel a bit more safe when, you know, than being out in the country, right? Like, as far as you're not in the middle of the woods in some rickety house, you know, you're around people, and you know, it's like that kind of brings a sense of security sometimes, and you're like more observant as to noises and stuff like that, I feel like. But so this dude Ashantez, he just got a new job doing tech support, and he was working a graveyard shift of 1 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's a good shift, huh? You been on that one?
I think I've been doing that one, yeah. Back in my retail days.
Yeah, I've been there too. But, you know, he thought the only thing he had to worry about was his weird sleeping schedule. But over the next few weeks, he noticed strange things started happening in his apartment. So he wrote in his post, Doors are still being left open and closed, and food has been disappearing from my fridge, which he blamed on his cats and his short-term memory loss. That's how he ended up like rationalizing it for himself initially. But then, you know, after a few of these incidents, Ashantez was working from home for the very first time. First time ever, you know, so it's like a change in his schedule. And he heard a key sliding into his front door and someone jiggling the lock. He ran and grabbed his gun, and he said, quote, "I had the intent to shoot someone. But when he opened the door, no one was there." And there was no security cameras in the hall, so there was no way for them to go back and check and see, you know, what was going on outside. But he said around 3:30 a.m., I was catching up, and someone unlocked my fucking door. I don't mean they picked the lock. I mean they used a key. He's like, I ran up and grabbed my gun, looked out the peephole, but saw nothing. I opened the door with the intent to shoot someone, but the person was already gone. Like, he had I guess, yeah, you know what? I was kind of thinking like, oh, it's a little extreme that he had the intent to shoot someone. But really,
Is it?
Well, I would say like if someone's at your door, but if someone's unlocking it, that's different,
That's
right?
different. Yeah,
that's a way different thing.
They have the intention of entering your home,
and somehow
they weren't
somehow the ability to.
And yeah, that's the scariest part. So this happened on 2 different occasions, or that's still the first time that he saw that happen?
This is the first time that happened because it was the first time he was working from home.
Okay.
And he thought he had heard the worst of it at that point, but a couple days later, someone used his credit card to make a payment of $3,000. And then, so nothing, some of the similar weirdness continued, but nothing too crazy. And flash forward to around Christmas time, and he goes into his cupboard to take out his Christmas tree, and he found the creepiest thing yet. So there was clothing, shoes, toiletries, a notebook, and a duffel bag that he did not recognize. And the scariest in the notebook, contents, there were all like these different notes, and they were like notes about him. Like, and there's like a picture of it too that's like posted. And there was like a meme he made. He took a picture of like all the like the shoes, the bag, the notebook all together. Mm. And at the top it says, "Found these in the closet. They're not mine. None of this is mine." Like,
what the fuck?
And so,
you saw the picture of the notes though?
Yeah.
Was it like his schedule and shit? Like what was on it?
Yeah, there were like one note he circled mad time, like he had the name. He was like, "Oh, maybe go to Walmart." I think there was notes like I think he wrote Walmart to like get a copy of his key or something.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And that's maybe how he got the copy of the key. But yeah,
how would he get the original key without him noticing?
There's probably a spare set in the house. And there was like a thing that said balcony, and it was circled, and that there was like a shadow, like a sun blocking veil on the balcony. So I wonder if he was like on his balcony too, just
camping
like
out there.
Camping out there,
Yo.
And then there was one note that said "heavy sleeper" in big words, and it was like circled mad times.
What the fuck?
And some of his credit card details were on there. Notes about his cats. Yeah, and where his keys were. So there was a note specifically about where his keys were. So if he's a heavy sleeper, he might have come in through the balcony, taken his keys, even if he didn't know where his spare set was, gone out through the balcony, or right through the front door, right? Made a copy of the key, snuck back. He's a heavy sleeper, so...
I thought I was a heavy sleeper. Damn.
Some people won't wake up for shit at all.
That's that brings up a lot more questions than answers. Like, how did he know to target this guy? Is it someone he knows? Like, that's crazy.
Well, the creepy thing is that, Ashantes then proceeded to call the cops and hand over the bag and the notebook, but unsurprisingly, his case got low priority. And as far as I read in the articles, the guy hasn't been caught, and he's probably not going to get caught. But supposedly Ashantes is moving out soon.
I would fucking bounce out of there like within the month.
Yeah, it's like you change the locks,
But this guy knows a way in.
Yeah, maybe he knows something about the
in.
apartment or something, right? Like, how did he get in initially? It's weird.
Like the past episode. Well, we had a couple episodes where like there were people living in the houses, right, and peeking and shit, and they had like a whole layout where I don't know if they were moving through the walls. I don't know. But
yeah, you had like the coming out the closet episode, right?
That one. I forgot how he got in the house though. I don't think it was answered. how he got into the house.
Yeah, and he was living in the closet like with a schoolgirl, right, or something.
And
like
he was wearing her clothes.
Yeah,
and
he
shit.
was wearing her clothes and shit. Go back to season 1, guys. That one's fucking good.
It's a good one.
But yeah, that's got to be the ultimate invasion of privacy. Like when your privacy is taken and you realize that you've been exposed and you didn't realize it for the previous weeks or whatever, you know?
Yeah, how do you even sleep after that? Like, this motherfucker was... he circled that I was a heavy sleeper. What the fuck was he doing?
Right. And it's like the guy had a gun in the house. So if this guy had more nefarious ideas in mind, you know, he's just lucky the guy wasn't a killer. Because if he was, he would have killed him very easily. But I think his thing instead was he wanted to leech off of what was in the house. You know?
Possibly.
So
or
maybe it was like a disturbed homeless person or something.
It could have escalated at any point, too. Like, maybe he was getting his rocks off with the excitement of sneaking around like fucking Metal Gear.
Yeah, some people like that, like peeping Tom shit, you know?
It's like,
weird.
yo, I can end your life whenever.
Revolver Ocelot. All right. So
That's creepy. Both creepy shit, man.
It's all creepy stuff today, man. It gets creepier. Yeah. I think this next one is extremely disturbing. You talk about... You want to grab a couple more beers?
I gotcha.
Thanks, man. But you talk about a situation... Like, you were in a situation that you didn't want to be in, that you were just talking about. You know what I mean? A difficult one that was, like, uncomfortable. And it's like, man, I didn't ask for this, you know? But I mean, man, you talk about a bad situation. This next one, this is rough, dude. I call this one hitchhiking. Oh, no, don't hitchhike. I'm sorry. Because you shouldn't after you hear what's going down on this one. So... Back in the 70s, my grandfather dropped my grandmother, my mom, and her 2 sisters off to do some shopping on his way to work. Since he wasn't able to pick them up, they hitchhiked home. And at first, I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of crazy. But really, this is the 70s. It was sort of a different time. You know what I mean? There was a lot more hitchhiking back then, for sure, with like hippies and stuff. And, you know, some people, I remember like... I don't want to say it was like a hitchhike thing, but I had to do some hitchhiking one time, which was fucking weird. But,
really?
Yeah, it was creepy. Because I got into a fight with a friend of mine, and I was going to get out the car. I thought we were going to fight, and he just took off. And it was pouring rain, and it was the middle of I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
And I had to hitchhike back with this weird, like, crazy kid from New York that I found inside of a CVS. It's fucking crazy, dude. And I was wasted too.
Any
was,
tips for
super
hitchhikers?
Fucked up. I mean, there are no guarantees with hitchhiking that you're gonna come out of it in one piece.
Yeah, because the hitchhiker chooses you. You don't choose them. Well, you can kind of.
No, I think you're right though. Like, right, they have to pull over.
Yeah.
You're just
and
advertising.
then you make the choice to go in the car or not.
Have you done it?
No, hell no.
No.
I was taught better than that. You walk.
I did it. I had no choice because I didn't know where I was neither. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of tough. And this was like not when smartphones were around. Like I could call a number, but I didn't know where I was. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning and it was pouring outside. So it was like, what are you going to do?
That's a good point, yeah. I would have still been lost at this point.
Well, anyway, so the person who's telling this story said that their grandmother, their mom, and her 2 sisters, you know, the father dropped them off to go shopping and then he had to go to work. So they had to hitchhike home. So my mom at the time was only around 10 or 11. The middle sister would have been around 7 or 8. And the youngest child about a year old. So that's a baby that the grandmother's holding. And then the person's mom and the other kids are, you know, in the range of 7 to 11. They get picked up by a guy in a pickup truck who has them all sit in the back row with one of them holding the baby. My grandmother was giving directions to their home from the highway, but the guy ignored her and went by the exit, claiming that he had to make a stop first. Didn't really say much else to them during the drive. My mom remembers my grandmother being very quiet and very nervous. What do you think about this setup? Like, this can't go well, right?
Definitely. Yeah, it's already going down a dark path.
I mean, what would you do if the hitcher brought you past an exit? Like, that's immediately going to make you feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, yo, we were supposed to go that way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, what stop? I would keep asking questions.
But it's like, there's not a whole lot you can do. What are you going to do?
You are in a moving vehicle.
It's like you can't force them to pull over from the back seat. You'll probably get into an accident.
And it's like, that situation's harder because
they're doing you a favor. And then they're like, oh, I got to make a stop real quick first, though. So it's like, are you being the prick? You know?
Yeah. Even if you have bad vibes, like, it's not like, let's say you want to jump out the vehicle. You're leaving behind the baby and, you know, your family member, and you're putting them at risk too. So they'll be alone, as opposed to increasing your chances if you're all together, you know?
Yep.
So it's complicated.
Actually, Snodgrass, who does the Drop in New England podcast, right? And you know Brendan. Mm-hmm. He told me a hilarious hitchhiking story. Like, I think he was on like a small island in, over here, like Prudence Island or like, what's the other one? Block Island. It was one of those, like one of those where like you don't have a car on it. You're just walking wherever you're going to go. And, he'll go out and spend the day there out in nature. Mm-hmm. And he has his backpack and his hiking gear or whatever. And like, he was hitchhiking just to try and get back to the ferry, because I think he might have been running a little bit late and he needed to get there.
Yeah.
And so this elderly couple picks him up. And, those people on the islands are like super friendly. It's not like, there's less risk on an island because those are so small,
Yeah.
It's like, if you did something, where are you going to go?
To?
But so he gets in there and like he goes into his backpack and he wasn't thinking about it. I think he was just trying to like readjust, but he has like this massive hunting knife, like this huge steel, intimidating looking hunting knife in case he gets like attacked by a bear or something, and he pulls it out and the fucking lady in the driver's seat, in the passenger seat just goes like wide eyed, like, holy shit. Like, He just wasn't thinking. So she's thinking he's gonna fucking kill us. Like, we just picked up this hitcher and it's gonna kill us. And then you know how he is. He's kind of doesn't think about like those type of shit sometimes. That's fucking hilarious. Amazing story though.
So what happened? Like, did they like start yelling and shit?
He apologized. No, they didn't start yelling. They just got like, you could tell like the fear of God got put into them real quick.
Like, oh fuck.
Like, this could be it. Like, like. This guy, there's no reason for him to take out a massive knife right now. That's like as big as his forearm, like.
And that's the reverse, right? Because the hitchhiker is potentially the danger,
right? So it could go either way.
Yo,
but back to our story. So they get picked up obviously by the guy in the pickup truck, given the directions and. They're told they got to go somewhere else, right? Because there's place he's got to stop. So eventually, they come up to a farm. The driver tells them to wait in the car and goes inside the house. While he's gone, they just sit there terrified. They're in the middle of nowhere. And they know that it could, they know that they couldn't make it out on foot with all those kids and with the baby. Mm-hmm. Like, where are you going to go sort of thing. So a few minutes later, the driver comes out with a second guy who looks into the truck and sees my mom's youngest sister, the baby in the arms, He starts flipping out. screaming at the driver that he shouldn't have brought the baby back. They aren't gonna do anything. They aren't gonna do anything with her, and some other things I can't remember. So that's what he's saying. You shouldn't have brought the baby. We can't do anything with her.
What?
And he ends up telling the dude to get back in the truck and get away from the farm. The driver gets back into the truck, apologizes, and they get back on the highway and drive again in silence. My grandmother, normally a very smart woman, had him drive directly to their house, although I suspect her reasoning was that she'd already given him the address before anything seemed off. They lived at that house for several years, and luckily never saw them a second time.
That's nuts.
Like, what the fuck, dude? That's creepy, right?
That's a good point, too. If you're getting dropped off, don't give your exact address, maybe the corner, and you can walk the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
You really don't. If they have some kind of infatuation with you, come back and get you.
Oh, shit. So the baby saved them.
The baby saved him. That's crazy, huh?
There's a lot of fucked up people out there, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
And how many...
Like, what were they... Can you imagine what they were doing on that farm? But they had morals still, right? We're not gonna kill a baby. That's what it felt like to me. I don't know.
I'm not gonna kill a baby. Unless they... I don't know. Maybe they had a sex trafficking business going on there.
Maybe.
But they didn't want to deal... Like, they didn't necessarily kill people. Just traffic them. And what is a baby can... I don't know. That's crazy.
Well, I would think if you're doing that, like, you'll leave the baby as an option. Because that's almost worse in a way. Like, you know? Like, I don't know. If you're okay with letting like a fucking 7-year-old get raped, what's the difference? Almost at that point,
then,
you know, like. But I see what you're saying. Like, it could be something.
That's a good point.
You never know, and that's the scariest part, I guess, right?
That makes you think like how many unheard stories originate from that farm.
Yeah,
that old lady got to tell her story, but how many people never got the chance?
Right,
disappeared out of existence.
Oh man, so fucked up. All right, and I got one more creepy encounter.
Yo, I don't think I can handle anymore, man.
Yeah, it's too much, but I got one really creepy one that I'm gonna save for next week. When you and me team up to deliver. What are you doing next week?
Oh, I'm doing the Skin Deep episode. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's I'll let your brain what's a good word? Fester?
Skin deep. Okay.
Skin deep, yeah.
Cool. All right. Well then, you know what? I think that topic almost sounds similar to this other one I have. So let's do the really creepy one right now.
Oh shit, okay.
All right. So this one's just a creepy camping story that I found. And have you ever been camping?
Yes.
What'd you think?
Gone to Maine to go camping a couple times actually. And it was pretty fun. Camping could be fun if you're with the right people and you're doing some cool shit. I went rafting, White River rafting, and then camping. It was cool.
Yeah,
good time.
Any creepiness, like when you're out in the woods, or were you in a cabin or something?
We were out in the woods actually. It wasn't creepy. The bugs were kind of creepy though.
Yeah,
because I got skeeved out, but
me too.
It wasn't really creepy.
Okay,
my experience.
Well, this is creepy. So this is someone's creepy camping story, right? I was a chaperone for a Girl Scout camping trip when I was 16. The kids were about 5 to 9 years old. I had a cabin with 6 kids that I was in charge of at night, and I helped out during the day. Night one of my kids had a bit of a developmental issue. I wake up to her leaving the cabin. I chase her, and I think she's going to go to the latrine, but she's sleepwalking. I'm out in the dark barefoot trying to coax this creepy kid back inside when I hear something big out in the woods. I grab the kid and she starts screaming like an infant and goes stiff. I carry her back inside. Everyone in the cabin is awake. I don't sleep the rest of the night. Sleepwalking's creepy, huh?
It is.
Can you imagine a little kid too? It's really creepy with them. They probably seem fucking like possessed.
Right. Children of the Corn.
All right, day 2. The sleepwalker is moved to another cabin. That afternoon, when I was walking the kids back from the latrine, the sleepwalker and another kid sneak away from the group. I realize they are gone and get help. And, about 15 minutes later, I return back. Back at the camp, they were telling scary stories about when they snuck away, saying that it was the kiddie cow who lives in the woods. That's fucking weird, right?
The kiddie cow.
Mm-hmm. So this is the second night now. I wake up and it's gotten cold. I get up to close the windows and the shutters, and I see a light in the woods. Like someone has a lantern in it. It walks to a point in the woods and then stops. I stay still in the dark and try to watch it a little while longer, about to shrug it off when the light moves again. Coming around and going down the side of the cabin closer, but not close enough to see who is carrying it. I realize it's heading to the window by the kids in their bunk beds, and I sneak over and close the window and the shutters. The light stays close to the other side of the shutters for a long time before moving and finally disappearing. Day 3. I tell the adults about the light. They dismiss it as probably a ranger checking the campsite. Kids by this time are totally freaking out over kiddie cow. Literally starting to be afraid to leave the craft area in broad daylight because kiddie cow might be there. There's all sorts of weird kiddie cow stories circulating. That afternoon, we find out a bear broke into one of the other camps and ate food. So in addition to the real threat, we think that might be the origin of kiddie cow.
The bear.
Plus, it would make sense that there would be rangers out looking for a bear on the loose. But wouldn't they fucking tell them? That's the only thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like you would go in and say, hey, there's a fucking bear that's been seen out here. Make sure you keep an eye on the kids, right? That's the only part that doesn't make sense to me.
Put away your food.
But it's like she's not definitively saying that. She's just trying to rationalize it, you know?
And why kiddie cow?
It's stupid shit that kids say. But it sounds creepy, though, right? I think kiddie cow sounds creepy to me.
What do you get? What image do you get in your mind when you hear kiddie cow?
I can't even conjure one. I'm just thinking of the word more for whatever reason. Why? Do you have an image?
Like a mutated baby calf?
Okay.
That squirts out acid from his udders,
from his teats. Kitty cow. Okay, so night 3. I stay up listening to music to see if the lights will come back. About 1 a.m., I see it coming by again. Walking to the point in the woods and waiting. Around 1:30, it starts to get closer to the cabin. As it's walking around the side, I hear one of the other chaperones start to yell, "Hey, who is that? Who's out there?" The lights cut off. I yell back to the chaperone that I saw it too. What should we do? I'm terrified at this point. The chaperone tells me to bring the kids over to her, holding hands. We all cram into one cabin, and a bit later, a thunderstorm starts. For another night, I basically don't sleep. So she's like up terrified, you know? And I would be doing the same
Yeah.
shit, like looking out there to see if it came back, wouldn't you?
Hell yeah.
The next day, everyone sort of laughs it off, sort of saying that we weren't seeing anything, that maybe it was heat lighting, or that the kids were playing with their flashlights and they saw them reflect. I'm so sleep deprived it hurts, and I'm hearing popping noises. I end up being paired up with another chaperone, and we go for a hike with the kids. It's still foggy in the woods, and the kids are really strung out between the excitement of the night before, which they blame on Kitty Cow. Out in the woods, the kids start claiming that they're seeing Kitty Cow everywhere, sneaking up on us. I can't tell you how terrifying things got then. You had the Silent Hill fog, all the girls wearing matching ponchos, so the scene was surreal. I mean, you could just picture how fucking creepy that would be.
Mm.
The kids are freaking out over every tree, screaming Kitty Cow is coming to get them.
Some Slenderman shit.
And I'm barely held together on no sleep. I convince myself that some weirdo has been creeping around the camp. Things literally devolve into mass hysteria. The kids are literally falling to the ground and screaming and sobbing, and the other chaperone leaves. She just books it out of the forest back to the camp while I'm coaxing, pulling, and carrying screaming children out of the mist.
What a bitch.
Pussy. I got the kids almost back to the camp when the other chaperones come rushing out. The chaperone who left claimed that she saw a bear and ran for her life. I didn't leave any kids behind. I have never, and I will never experience anything as creepy and as terrifying as the afternoon in those woods. While nothing happened, it haunted my dreams ever since.
Kitty Cow.
Kitty Cow.
Yeah.
Right, but that's a creepy one, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what I liked about this one is like the line she says at the end, while nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like, because really, there's no reveal in this story.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
the mystery
creepy,
behind
and there's a remaining mystery. And it's like, what was out there? You'll never know. Sometimes there could be like a very basic explanation for something.
Yeah.
Other times, not so much.
That was a good one. It almost sounds like a short story.
Yeah, right. It's like, it's just weirdness. But yeah, that's what we got today for Creepy Encounters on the Evil Examined podcast. I hope you enjoyed myself and JP reuniting, rekindling our bond of love and beauty. Now, next week, we will rejoin together and bring you guys another bonus episode, which is titled
Skin Deep.
And until then, just remember to go to www.evilexamined.com to check out the backlog. You can donate to the podcast on the homepage of the website. If you do so, we appreciate it. All the show is completely free, of course, but you know, we do have costs, and it is awesome whenever we do get the random donation. It really helps us out. So we thank you if you consider that. Again, my books, Aaron Beauregard Horror, is also on the drop-down tab at evilexamined.com. And you can check out the Written and Read podcast on there, too, if you enjoy horror books and horror writing. And if you could rate and review the podcast, that is also helpful. We greatly appreciate it. And subscribe to the YouTube channel for Evil Examined, so you can get more of these videos. We hope you enjoy the first video. There will be more in the future. Anything else you got on this one, or?
No, I'm going to include that Spaghetti Man clip. I just got to look in there for it.
Yeah, so if you guys want to see that Spaghetti Man, a man that is out of his mind carrying around a bag of spaghetti, you know, you better get on that YouTube shit, on that Evil Examined.
That's the only place to see it.
Just go ahead and subscribe, guys, and we appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
They're extra-dimensional beings that they are not what they claim to be.
your life with dignity. Don't lay down with tears and agony. Living, you're looking at death. It only looks. Living is much, much more difficult.
You know, most of them don't assume you're actually going to kill them. Most of them assume it's a rape or something like that.
It was like anybody was fair game.
It did not matter. Blood is blood. It didn't matter man, woman, child.
At first, they thought it was a pack of savage dogs. But when they looked closer, they knew it was humans.
We left the curse. Say it! We left the curse.
We lit the gates.
A fire and death.
We lit it.
Oh, this is not nice. Judgment! Judgment! Say it!
Ah, we lit the curse.
On her?
On her.
Future generations.
Future generation.